I'm George Valdosta-Lowndes. Today is May the 29th, 2013. Behind me is the federal building in Valdosta and Lowndes County and in the state of Georgia. Today ends my search for answers concerning the trespass issue that kept me away from the Lowndes County High School graduation. I was told by a sheriff deputy under Sheriff Prine's leadership that there was a criminal trespass against me and that I could not enter any portions of Lowndes County High School property. This morning, I went to the district attorney office, talked to Melanie, went to Superior Court, talked to Beth McKinnon, I believe it was. None of those people have anything in file on me. Nothing. In fact, the district attorney's office clerk, Melanie, was extremely helpful. She asked me to take a seat while she called some people at the sheriff department and try to get to the bottom of why a citizen would have to go through this without any documentation. Then she called me back up to the window and she told me that the sheriff's department, the clerk at the jail said to her that they did have something on me. And so, she recommended that I go back to the sheriff's department. The district attorney clerk also asked me, why don't you just go back and talk to the sheriff? Well, that's what I did. Lastly, I went to the sheriff department and I talked to Sheriff Prine. And he responded after listening to me lay out my movement. And when I say movement, I'm talking about how I had to use my own gas, had to take my own time, and how John Robinson had went out to the Lowndes County School one morning this week, Tuesday morning, and asked to speak with Wes Taylor. He was not in, so he talked to someone else. And everybody seemed to believe that I'm being watched. So later on in the afternoon, Wes Taylor called Robinson back. And Wes Taylor told him that he didn't issue no trespass warrant against George Valdosta-Lowndes. It's getting stranger, y'all. It's getting real strange. Then Mr. Wes Taylor said that, no, before I say that, Mr. Robinson said, well, can we set up an appointment where me and Rhynes can come out? He said, no. So he pretty near said that I couldn't come back, which let me know that he don't care about me being on the property. But he said he didn't issue no restraining order on me. So then he made the statement that there's something in the works on Rhynes. They say that he told Robinson that I think it's something in his past that they are looking into. I guess he means the sheriff department. I guess that's what he meant. Now, we got some pretty good documentation of what was said. But we're not going to share it now. We just want to find out why in Valdosta-Lowndes County, the state of Georgia, and in the United States of America, this could happen to an American citizen that have done no wrong. The only thing that I have done is shown that in Brooks County, Georgia, the Board of Elections has major problems, and that Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp failed to report back to the citizens of Brooks County about all the irregularities that took place at 2 meetings, and that the meeting was conducted in a way outside of what the Attorney General of the state of Georgia have highlighted in his handbook. All I have done is highlighted that we have 31 jail deaths from 1994 to 2009. And from 2009, nobody knows how many people have died in the Lowndes County Jail. All I have done is said and reported what the South Georgia news media will not report. And that is that citizens to be heard in city and county governments are at the end of the agenda, and that they don't respond to the citizens when they bring issues to them. This is all I've done. All I've done is went to the South Georgia Regional Library and told them by people using cell phones in the computer area, using profanity when little children are sitting there. No signs were posted about the use of cell phones. People eating and drinking soda pop while they use the computers, dropping crumbs into the computers, and among other things. And so when I highlighted all of these things, then the director of the library put it on John Quarterman's website that I disrupt meetings, that I squeezes a white woman's arms frequently, and that I have sexist behavior. Now, when I got that off of the net, I went to the city mayor, John Gale. I went to the Valdosta Daily Times, gave Kay Harris a copy of what had been said about me, which was slanderous, which was lies. I also took a copy to the Lowndes County Chairman and Board of Commissioners. I notified all of them about what I was accused of. I gave the director of the library a copy, or rather to the clerk, to give to her. That's all I've done. Moreover, the library, in one meeting, they had a blue line. I got a picture of it, it's already on the internet. 4 feet wide by 8 feet long, restricting the news media and citizens to that little small oblong square to record that public meeting in the state of Georgia. And I believe that those accusations was in retaliation for me speaking up about local governments and others suppressing and keeping the citizens deaf, dumb, and blind to the times and unable to make intelligent decisions based on facts. This is all I've done. When the people that work for the city government felt that John Whitehead was not meeting their needs, and they talked about the old slave-like mentality. And so when they went to city council and they called me, they met with me and asked me, George, will you help us? Because we are catching hell from the city. We are working, but we're not getting the pay that we need. We don't have health benefits, among other things. There is no open door policy. They talked about never having group meetings, but they meet on you one, and therefore they keep everybody fighting among themselves about having accidents, and some people are punished and others are congratulated. These things are brought to me. There was a time when these items of this nature, you take them to your newspaper, you take them to your television stations, and they would report it. But those days are long gone. It is as if though all they want us to do today is to fight these damn wars, while our rights here in the homeland are going to hell in a handbasket. Moreover, all I've done was stand before sitting county governments about a white lady who had all her teeth knocked out of a front part of her mouth while she was incarcerated in the jail. And so I brought this to city council and the mayor. They said absolutely nothing. It was as if though they didn't even care. Moreover, the mother of this young white girl called me. You can see all this on video. Just Google, go to my jail playlist. And the mother said, George, did the NAACP or any civil rights organization bail my daughter out of jail? I said, no. She said, well, I don't know where it is. I called the jail and they say released her. Make a long story short, she had been in ICU 3 to 5 days. The mother didn't know where her daughter was, and she wanted me to go to the hospital with her because she was afraid. And when I went to the hospital with her, I'll leave it there. But these are the issues that Brother Rhynes have addressed. Speed trap over on Clay Road. Martin Luther King monument busted up because of poor workmanship. Sewage coming up in a resident over in Quitman, Georgia, and I went and filmed it and put it on YouTube. This is what I do. Moody Air Force Base. For 3.5 years, it was brought to our attention. I was a member and active in the NAACP. And so they sent me out to the base to look at the situation. And on the first floor of the wing headquarters building, there was no picture of the President of the United States of America, President Barack Obama, in the chain of command. I am retired military. There was black folk, there was white folk, there were Democrats and Republicans that were not happy about that at the wing headquarters building at Moody Air Force Base. I talked to the vice wing commander, Lieutenant Colonel, I believe it was. But I got it all documented. I got it documented and I got their names. So this is what I have done. That's just a small portion of it. I'm gonna tell you some more. Oh, I can tell you some more. Folsom, or rather Port St. Joe, Florida. Homes built on toxic waste dumps. You find all of this on my YouTube channel, 2,500. Over 200 views. I reported on my YouTube channel that we had 105 vehicle motorcade. Went to the Mary Turner Memorial Ceremony to show the atrocities that took place in May of 1918 in Brooks and Lowndes County, called the Week of Terror, wherein Mary Turner, up in at the Folsom Bridge, her baby cut from her stomach. The baby fell on the ground and a mob member stomped his foot on her and destroyed that child. This is what your news media, for the most part, won't give you the in-depth of. And so I come to tell the people, because I believe, like Jesus, that ye shall know the truth and that the truth shall set and make you free. So this is what I've talked about. Sidney Johnson, drug up and down North Patterson Street here, back in May of 1918. Then put behind a pickup truck, a rope around his neck and dragged all the way out to Morven, Georgia, the old campgrounds. So this is what I've done. And so undoubtedly, they put a criminal trespass warrant, or whatever you want to call it, on me. And it seemed to be invisible. Now, should I be quiet? If what Superintendent West Taylor said is correct, and if they are planning something against George Boston Rhynes, should I not let you know about it? So when something happens to me, just stack me into the record of Earl Evans that was burned up in a police car in Quitman. Put me into the record with the Week of Terror when 15 to 25 other blacks were murdered and nothing was done about it. Put me into the stack of the Densons and the Wootons that was killed in Quitman, and nothing has been done about it until this day. Put me into the group of Warren Egerton that was murdered out at Magic 95. Put me into the group of the lady from Florida whose daughter was killed here, and she called me from time. Put me into the group of all these others deaths that have taken place. Put me into the group of former President Lewis Gordon, who stood up to try to get changes in the city school system. And we've been under a court order for the schools to line itself up by the federal government. But the federal government didn't even follow up on their own procedures to make sure that Valdosta, superintendent of schools, and the board of directors employ black people in positions as they employ white folk. And that's about 50 years. So now, let me talk about the disgraceful accusations against the Quitman 10. Soon it will be 3 years that those outstanding citizens have been in limbo. They were removed from, 3 of them, the Brooks County Board of Education by an executive order of Republican Governor Nathan Deal. They were reinstated because of the time factor, and they had not been to court. Originally, the newspaper said the reasons for that investigation was because there was a spike in absentee voter submissions. But the South Georgia newspaper have not published not one time, or TV stations as I can recall, wherein the laws were changed, wherein anybody could file absentee ballots. You didn't have to be sick. You didn't have to be in a nursing home or disabled. So the Quitman 10 got out and did what any concerned citizen would do. And yet, somebody didn't like it, in my opinion, that I believe I can base up on facts, that the majority was black on the board. You don't find in the news media where the people from Brooks County talked about the intimidation. Some of them were so afraid because of what the G.B.R. did, they didn't even go back to the polls to vote. The Georgia Democratic Party have yet to go over in Quitman and assist those Democrats. The local surrounding Democratic Party have yet to go over and support those outstanding citizens. Most of them have their college degrees. Nancy Dennett, a PhD, she's not a foolish woman. She's the one that identified the Board of Elections. One morning, there was a meeting that had not been publicized, and so I got a call from someone in Brooks County wanted me to come over and record that meeting. And when I went over and recorded it, we had been in the meeting approximately 35 minutes. One of the Quitman 10, Nancy Dennett, asked a question to Ken Collins, when are you all going to call this meeting to order? They had already been moving forward. And then she said, and when y'all going to approve the agenda? And she asked, when are you all going to approve the minutes? And she asked, where was this meeting advertised? And it's just a lot of things that was asked. And Maxwell asked about why people were left off the ballot in his district. And he went on and on about that. Another lady asked some more questions about how she had submitted paperwork to be trained as a poll worker and never got a response back from the Brooks County Board of Elections. All of these things have happened, and yet we don't hear nothing from the Democratic Party. We don't hear nothing from the Secretary of State in terms of the results of his own investigator that came from Macon, Georgia to Brooks County, and we gave him information. We gave him statements. I gave him DVDs, and we still haven't heard nothing from Georgia Secretary of State Bryant P. Kemp about all of this. Georgia, South Georgia, seems like they in their own little world, and that nothing is going to change, and that the people must continue to suffer as they did in the 1800s and the early 1900s. And I'm here to tell you that if I could go, and I mean this to the core, don't think that this is just going to stop, because there are others with cameras like this And they want you to know, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. If we can go into Germany, if we can go into Japan, if we can go to Korea, if we could fight in the Revolutionary War, if we could go to Kuwait, if we can go to Iraq, and maybe pretty soon Iran, and fight and die for this nation, right along with white people, on equal employment on the battlefield, equal employment in the graveyard, equal employment when it comes to jumping out of plane in the jungles of Southeast Asia, but only to return home to have a trespass warrant issued that seemed to be invisible, that nobody want to take credit that they filed against me and violated my rights, where I just can't never call back in my life. I can never fix the fact that I was denied the right to go to Lowndes County High School graduation. Nobody can fix that. You can't fix it. The governor can't fix it. The president can't fix it. And I don't believe God gonna fix it for me, but I believe God gonna fix it for others, because Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and that the truth shall set and make you free. Now, in closing, the reason I'm standing in front of the federal building is because after I went to the magistrate court, after I went to the CID, after I left and went to Superior Court, after I left and went to the district attorney's office, after I returned back to the jail and talked to Sheriff Prine, who say he's gonna get back with me, I immediately came over to the federal building. And I went up on the second floor and I asked, do you have anything in your records of a trespass against George Rhynes? She said, why should we? I say, because I was denied the right to go and attend a graduation that a felon could have went right on in. A child molester could have drove his car right on in on the Lowndes County property. But I don't have any of those things against me. I am retired from the United States Armed Forces. My paperwork is at the house. I got my DD Form 214. I get a retirement check plus a small disability check for injuries I received as service connected while I defend this country from both foreign and domestic enemies. And I'm in Valdosta in Lowndes County, Georgia. And now I'm on my way over to the police department. And then I may go out to Moody Air Force Base. See if Moody Air Force Base got something against me. Then I'm going to Atlanta, Georgia. I want to go to Nathan Deal's office. Then I want to go to Georgia Attorney General's office. If I can't find out who issued that trespass warrant, criminal trespass warrant against me, and made the statement to John Robinson that they are working on something against me, George Boston Rhynes. That's what Mr. Robinson said. Superintendent West Taylor said, they working on something against George Boston Rhynes. We want to know what that something is. The Justice Department already know about all of this stuff. They've been knowing about it for over half a century. There's somebody in the clique and among the slicks, but there are some of us who are in the clique and the slick of Almighty God. And somewhere we believe that heaven and earth will pass away, but God's word among the righteous will stand forever. And we are not talking about these popcorn preachers, and we are not talking about these popcorn politicians. We are talking about the real patriots of this republic. You don't do what I'm doing. You don't do what Tyrone Brooks are doing unless you love this country. Just think about it. When we came to these shores in the year 1555 aboard a slave ship called Jesus, captained by one white European slave owner called Sir John Hawkins, we brought our culture to this nation in our head. Our ancestors did, but we would not allow to carry on our culture. So we were stripped of our name, our pride, our history, our religion, our God, ourselves, everything, we were brought down to the level of a beast. For over nearly 500 years, to be truthful about it, as second-class citizens in the land of the free and the home of the brave, while there's plenty for some folk and less for others. But God has decreed that the bottom rail will come to the top. And that only means that the lies and wickedness of deceit shall be abolished. And he will institute a new order, wherein people care more about human life than they do a banking account, so they can make trips, to make connections to the economic world, to help bring about the new world order that is out of order in God's word. Once again, George Boston Rhynes, keeping it real. Because if I don't and you don't, well, the wicked gonna stay in power. Bye-bye. We go.
I wasn't there, hey, when they drove the slaves from the ship, and I wasn't there, no, hey, when they whipped my great-great-grandfather with the whip, oh, I can feel the pain. Lord have mercy, I can feel the pain. Yeah, yeah, I can feel it. The pain, yes I can, and I wasn't there, no, hey, when they raped my great-great-great-grandmother, and I wasn't there, oh no, Lord, when she cried out for help, oh, I can feel the pain, early in the morning I can feel the pain, yeah, yeah. The pain, yes I can. I can still hear the slaves moaning as they slowly walk down the gangplank from the ship. And all I could do, Lord, all I could do was stand there and cry. Hey, Lord, 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 oh, oh Lord, the God Almighty. Oh, I can feel the pain. Yes, I can. I said I can feel the pain. Lord, Lord, oh, I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel the pain. Yes, I can. They locked up one of our black sisters not long ago. Angela Davis was her name. Oh,